Hi, good morning. My name is May, and as you see, I do have some makeup on. It's not like the best makeup ever, but it'll do. Anyway, it makes me feel better, so I put it on. So I remembered to do everything that I did yesterday without having to write it down. So that's good. That's progress. I went to my step study yesterday, and I feel healing. I actually got up after 9 hours of sleep, so that's good. That means I'm not as depressed. Now, what I was going to do is wean myself off of medication. So I'm going to start with the PM dose today. So today is Thursday, June 10th, 2021. And I need to go get my labs drawn for my cholesterol for my doctor to be able to, you know, have the appointment next week. So I could do it with a lab around here, so that's what I have to do. I'm going to go work out. I worked out in the afternoon yesterday, and I feel fantastic. I mean, I feel so good after I work out. And so I bought some black shorts that I'm going to wear every day until I lose weight. Yesterday was the first day that I exercised with my shorts on. Um, I hadn't worn shorts in a long, long time outside. I mean, outside in the gym. I have not worn shorts outside for a long time. So I get to do that today. And I get to do it any day anymore because my stupid family commenting on what I wear. So I bought this for myself. It's a key with a cross on it. So these are the two promises that God has spoken to me to have. So my sins are covered, and I do my step 10, which is a daily inventory every morning. What good, what bad that I did yesterday, and what have I learned. Um, so so that's it. I'm full of gratitude today. I am full of gratitude after having participated yesterday in the step study. Um, Another lady dropped out, so it's a smaller group. I think it's about 9 to 10 people, 9 to 10 women. So I'm kind of happy about that, silently happy, because it's a lot to process, 10 people's issues and problems. So a lot of them still are not doing their homework, and they're not reading from their homework. I'm probably the only one really who's reading from their homework. Um, but it is what it is. It's up to the leader to call them out on it, not me. So, um, yeah, I'm going to stay in my own lane because I already told the leader a couple of times. So, um, and I don't want them getting up on me, which they will. So we talked about inventory yesterday and how to do it, and that's coming up. That's actually the next lesson is inventory. So um, for those people who have done their inventory before, it's a step 4, and I am going to. I guess I have to start it. So I'm going to do it outside. Um, so how am I feeling? How am I feeling? I'm feeling very sad. Sad because my housing person did not call me, did not set up an appointment. She said she was going to try for Friday to set up the appointment. It's already Thursday. And, I need a heads up, at least 24-hour heads up, because I got other things going on, which is my doctor's appointment, and I have to drive to get my labs drawn. And there's a lot of other things I need to compromise when she doesn't give me enough time to prepare. And so, I'm by myself taking care of myself. So I also have to do laundry. I got to get my oil changed, my tires rotated, and the pressure in my tires boosted up. And then I have to work out every damn day. So it's a lot. It's a lot to do all your own. And I'm not studying, and so that's something I had to put on the back burner. I have to I guess I'm going to restart studying and get back to that starting. I could start Saturday, but I'm going to start on Monday. Um, that way, all my labs and my doctor's bullshit is out of the way, and I have my prescriptions taken care of. So that's why. And I'm going to try to ask this doctor, this physician assistant, to not have to see them anymore. Um, maybe twice a year, every 6 months instead of every 3 months, because every 3 months is way too much for me to handle. Because other things have to give, and I can't afford not to look for a job. So I am what I am. This is me, 55-year-old, sitting alone all my life, really trying to navigate all my decisions myself. And that's extremely stressful for me. And I handled it by taking an antidepressant. So I numb to other people's feelings. And it's the way I have to run my life because nobody's walking in my life saying, I'll run your life for you. And so I got to run it myself, which sucks. So, um, when my brother used to say my parents are doing their best, they're doing their best. I'm doing my best. And it's really true. We're doing our best, Tell me I have to rotate tires every 3 months and do it all by myself. It's laundry, wash my laundry every week by myself. Then I have to do it by myself, I don't have anybody knocking on the door saying, I'll do your laundry for you. Wouldn't that be nice? I guess that's the reason why people get married, so they have a live-in housemaid, basically. The church calls it housemate, but basically it's a maid. And I've been able, as a healthcare worker, to be able to afford a housemaid some of my life, not all my life. In my 30s, I traveled a lot, so I was a traveling healthcare professional, and I liked it, but it stressed me out to the point of not being married because healthcare has been so demanding on my career. My healthcare career has been so demanding that I ended up with diabetes type 2. So it hasn't been good for my health to stay in this profession. And so I branched out yesterday. I applied for some other healthcare positions that require a bachelor's degree, but not a license. So I want a job in healthcare that uses my bachelor's degree, but doesn't require a license. And I learned that from talking to the guy at the bank. He's like, yeah, most of these guys are licensed. I'm not licensed, so I get to be a manager. I'm like, that's the kind of job I want. So that's the job I applied for yesterday. Hope I get it. It's way too much pressure for a single person to maintain that kind of, it's not a lifestyle, maintain the tasks. So, do you want to live a life with 20 tasks in your, in your life cycle every single day for the rest of your life? Or do you want to pare it down from 20 to 10 or 5? I'll take the 10 or 5, and that's alone at 55 is enough. I can't handle any more tasks in my day, my week, my month, or my year. I can't handle any more tasks. Don't give me any more tasks. If you're not ready to relieve me of those 20 tasks, I can't have you in my life. You're too stressful for me to do any more tasks. I can't do it. The last housing program, yeah, they did my laundry, but they drove me there, so it kind of added time. So instead of me taking it myself and paying for it myself, which costs $5, which is not bad, but it's the hassle. It's the hassle of me having to figure out where the laundromat is. Me getting the quarters ready in my pocket. And then me making sure that I have my laundry in a basket or a bag that I can take it, and me making sure that I have enough laundry. So I've learned to be able to, when I do my laundry, I'm going to buy all the necessary things, which is the detergent, the bath sheets, the dryer sheets, and the time in my head of where I'm going to go to get it done. So I'm going to do it right by my pharmacy. So I don't have to remember where it is because it's right by my pharmacy. So I've kind of, but I guess what I'm learning to do at 55 is to budget my time more appropriately. And I started by time blocking stuff, and I bought a book on time management, and it said to use time blocks. What was she was saying was helpful for other people. I've already mastered that. What I am not mastering is time, and I need to master my time. So the time management book that I'm reading, and I have it in my car because I purposely put it in my car because when I go outside, I'm going to read that. It forces me outside, and Okay, so it said basically time block, use time blocks, and that's what I used to do at work. So when I got to work at 8:30, between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, we were flex time, so that was awesome. And I'll tell you a typical day as a pharmacy administrator. Basically, I got up at 6 a.m., 6:30. Sometimes I could push it till 7 if I didn't have to wash my hair. But I always took a shower in the morning. So I got on the road by 7 a.m. because the traffic was so horrible. Yes, for a normal 35-minute drive, it took me sometimes an hour and a half to get there. And, that's Detroit, and that sucks. So why should I live in Detroit when there's snow, where I can live in LA and there's less traffic? I mean, go figure that. And LA, I'll say, LA's got Los Angeles roads have really mastered the system of traffic because they built multiple highways to get to and from work, and Detroit does not. Detroit only has one highway that goes north and south, and they have another highway that goes east and west, and that's it. They only have two major highways, and that is so fucking ridiculous. So that's how dumb they are in Michigan. Sorry. But you guys need to build more highways like California does. So, and you need to hire somebody from transportation that knows how to build highways. So my dad could have done it when he was working for Detroit, but he's dead now, so obviously can't do that work. He's dead. So I don't know why I got all of that. Oh, that's the reason that I had to quit my jobs in Detroit because of the drive. It took 3 hours. So my typical day as a pharmacist administrator in Detroit was I got up at 6:30 a.m. I went in and did the shower. Then I would go to Dunkin' Donuts and buy my bagel with cream cheese, that breakfast I had, with coffee and cream. And I would eat that in the morning on the way to work, since it took me 45, 50 minutes. That's good timing, 45, 50 minutes. So I'd be on the road at 7 a.m. and I'd get there around 8, 8:15, 8:20. And so I convinced my boss that I'm not going to get up. I'm not going to show up at 8 a.m. I'm going to get there before 9. And he wasn't happy about it, but, he let me work there. So it all worked out in the end. And I convinced some coworkers to do the same thing because they lived in the same area I lived in. So it worked out. So I got there. I started my shift at 9 o'clock. And the minute I got there, they would always change my desk, which is, I don't know, that whole workplace is so toxic. But basically, they would always change my desk, always change where I was working, to basically mess with me. And so every time I got there, I would, I bought some Windex and get some paper towel, and I would wipe, my desk because it's not public, but it collected a lot of dust from the air system. So I tend to be a neat freak, I guess. And because it was such a small space, I like it clean. So anyway, I would wipe down all my computer, my desk, my table, everything. And it makes me feel happy, because they put you in such a small area that, here I am, a pharmacist for 25 years. I have such skills. I came from being a director of pharmacy, running a big, corporation. And they put me in this small ass little tiny box. And they were probably doing it so I would quit. So anyway, they won, I quit. But basically those were my days, and I hated it most of the time. So basically I was an administrator, and I answered the phones a lot, and the people on the phones typically were other pharmacists, but typically they were nurses, because that was my customer base. My customer base were nursing. And I was to review all the medication errors for the hospital. And 60 to 70% of our reported medication errors were from nursing. So that was my customer base, the nurse on the floor, typically, sometimes the nurse manager. So that's what I did. I also organized a medication safety committee, which was co-chaired by myself and a physician. And we always met once a week. The meetings were once a month. They tried to push it once every other month, but I kept it at once a month because there's so much work to do. Nursing would complain that we don't have, a policy on this or a policy on that. So it was up to us to write them a policy so that they could teach their nurses how to give medications. And that's what we do. Pharmacists tell nurses how to give medication safely to the patient. So that's part of our job. So mainly I did that. I ran the med safety committee. I organized med safety committee every time, people would walk away, like physicians were the hardest to get to show up to the meetings. Nurses were pretty loyal, actually. They would change maybe year to year, and we would, eventually anyway. So my boss decided that he wanted to train me on Six Sigma and lean green belt stuff. And so that's what we did. They brought in GE Healthcare to train us. And I became a lean green belt, which basically is looking at a process from start to finish and eliminating the steps that cause harm to the patient. And so I learned that kind of methodology, and we applied it to high risk situations like when they're preparing chemotherapy for the patient and when they're preparing doses for our little babies in the NICU and the pediatrics, because the high-risk patient population really are the youngest and the oldest. Everybody in between is where they do the drug studies typically. And so that's where we focused our safety efforts. I was a medication safety officer and became so good at it that, some organizations try to emulate some of the practices, and they wrote it into their bylaws. And then we got surveyed on it. So that was difficult because even though I was, the spearheaded of the thing, it became, hospital wide, and nurses and physicians were being held responsible for that work. So that was a little tough for me to handle because we have surveyors basically telling us we're not doing our job. They're not doing their job. And so anyway, so I was the liaison between that. Yeah, it was successful, sometimes it wasn't. So that's what I did for work. So basically I took you from 9 to, our meetings were 7 to 9. 7 to 9 were our med safety meetings because doctors and nurses wanted to do their meetings before they saw their patients. So we had to accommodate that schedule. So of course, I would get my ass there at 7. What else? Oh, so basically that was a typical day. And then if I didn't have meetings to prepare for, but I always had meetings, weekly meetings, monthly meetings, and sometimes daily meetings, but I try not to have daily meetings. So I bought a book on how to manage your boss because my boss was do what you want. He gave me a whole year basically to learn the role and kind of like, okay, you're hired, don't bother me, do it yourself. And so that was hard because I had to learn myself. So I did a lot of research and I decided what training I was going to get. And every year it was just training, new training. The first year was on med safety pathways from ISP. The first, I guess, between year 1 and year 2, it was about Six Sigma and learning processes and learning how to lean them out so they could basically save money and resources and didn't have to hire so many people to do so many jobs that were, hazardous to our safety process. And then after that, it was different departments. Go to different departments and mainstream their processes and see how we can bring those processes back. So I got to work in radiology to see how they do certain procedures. Then I went to laboratory to see how they collect the blood labs. And then I came back and applied it to our preparation of IVs. And so that was wonderful. And that's what a pharmacist administrator does, basically. They take processes and they lean them out to make them safer for the patient long term. And then, the city, or not the city, but the state of Michigan would come and visit us and basically like our process and then write it down as laws and regulations, and then they made laws. Joint Commission made rules, medication rules, and then every hospital that was accredited by Joint Commission would have to follow these rules, and that's how we kept our patients safe. And it wasn't about money at all. In fact, this Joint Commission, I mean, they would fine the hospital lots of money, like $15,000, if they didn't follow the rules. So there were huge fines if they didn't follow the rules that we decided were safer. And then we had to get involved with the Pharmacists Association. My job was primarily with physicians and nurses because those are people that use our medications. And my boss was a pharmacist. But anyway, long story short, the Pharmacists Association started getting involved in our groups and wondered why we weren't involved in their groups. And long story short, so I got to be put on the American Society of, I know I need to say all this in my whatever interviews. This is all stuff that I never say in my interviews because I forget, and they just give me basic business stuff, which is ridiculous. Anyway, so I became part of the we found a med safety committee on ASHP, and they called it the Section Advisory Group. And I was part of that for a while. And then so we transferred all the work that we did at St. John in Ascension, to ASHP so they could push it out to all the hospitals to do med safety. And then I got and then I went into a patient safety fellowship, which was 9 months of training on safety terms and legal tort and what tort means. I didn't even know what tort meant. So I did all that. I graduated, got the certificate for safety, and then it just kind of rolled out as a safety kind of position that was pretty much an expert. And then my boss sent me to a bunch of meetings that I got to interact with other people, and that's how we made it national, by interacting with other people and talking with them and experts, stuff like that. So I don't know where I was going with all this, but basically it was a great job. I got to meet Michael Cohen at the ASHP meeting last time, and he's I think he's the CEO, Vice President of Institute for Safe Medication Practices, which is the organization that we look to for safety practices. That was kind of cool. And then I saw Daryl Rich at ASHP meetings. I don't know, he fell out of favor. He used to work for the Joint Commission, but I haven't seen his name for a while. But I've been out of it also. I've been out of pharmacy medication safety for 8 years to deal with some of the trauma of my childhood, which sounds ridiculous at age 55 to have to deal with trauma, having done all this professional pharmacy medication safety stuff. But, I guess that's how my life rolls. And it's a little annoying because I want to make some money. I need to make some money and make a living. But anyway, so I went to ASHP last year and got to see Condoleezza Rice. That was kind of cool. Speak about, I don't remember what she spoke about, but I guess it was kind of interesting. The best speaker they had that I really adored is Colin Powell. He came to our ASHP meeting, and I don't remember what state it was. Maybe it wasn't Florida, because I would never even go to Florida because it's too hot and muggy and yucky. My asthma wouldn't be able to handle that Florida weather. But anyway, Colin Powell was pretty cool. He was moving, and by moving, I mean his speech was amazing. I mean, for him to talk about his medication process and his parents and mom and dad and kids and how he makes sure he takes his medication, it was pretty cool. It's like, wow, So I like that. So somebody from government always visits the ASHP, which I'm praying that President Trump visits our ASHP meeting, this year or next year. I think it's a good group for us to be able to speak our needs as pharmacists. We need to pick up the torch, as they say, for spearheading medication management, over nurses, practitioners, and physician assistants. We are the number 2 person, really, and we need to be the number 2 person next to the physician for medication management. And so I will hold that torch. And California is actually leading the way in that. they've adopted the National Patient Safety Goals as pharmacy law, which is, wow, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, saves us a lot of hassle and explaining on why we have to do this because it's the law, And so anyway, California is more progressive in clinical pharmacy practice, which I'm impressed. Although Michigan is pretty progressive as well. I mean, Michigan has a lot of the main teachers around neuroscience, neurology, and HIV medicines and infectious disease. You got Dr. Michael Ryback and his wife Stephanie Ryback, both Pharm.Ds, and a lot of the HIV medication treatment came from Detroit, Michigan, and it's been published, and it still is published, and they still do that work. And anyway, I interviewed there a couple years ago, and it was kind of fun to see my professor, that I had when I was a first year pharmacy student at the age of, I think I was 22, and I don't know, he's funny. His name is Dr. David Bott, but he also retired just recently, so he doesn't work anymore. Or maybe he does, I'm not sure. He used to work for DMC when I interviewed with him, but now I think he might be at Beaumont or retired. I'm not sure. So anyway, where am I going with all this? Life takes you on these ups and downs of roller coasters, and you just got to go with the flow. I got my doctorate of pharmacy at Shenandoah University as the dean of Wayne State University recommended to me. He said, and he knew my background. Like, I didn't even have to tell him, but he said, I think you would benefit from a non-traditional. And it was based because my family was Arabic, and they're still Arabic. They're so crazy and demanding of my time that I couldn't give 100% to my pharmacy school when I was in the doctorate accelerated program. And so he suggested that they forced me to walk away, actually. I mean, I was this close. I had one rotation close to getting my doctorate of pharmacy degree, and my boyfriend had broken up with me, and it just crushed me emotionally. And my parents were not part of that relationship, so I couldn't really share that pain. And I know better now. I know to go to Celebrate Recovery for that. So, anywho. So anyway, Dean Slaughter at the time, he said, do the non-traditional. Thought about it, took 10 years to think about it. And then 10 years later, I applied for Shenandoah, and I met a fellow pharmacist, actually, that I worked with at the hospital. She said she's doing it. So I thought about it, and I did it, and I graduated 2008 to 2010. I did all my clinical rotations where I worked, which was St. John. And they were all affiliated with Pharm.D school. So anyway, long story short, you can do it. You can do anything you set your mind to, really. But I'll say a caveat is don't have a toxic family around you, because if you do, you can't do anything you want to do. And I wanted to be married with kids and work as a pharmacist, and I couldn't because my family was so toxic. And I finally got away from them because my mom and dad died. And so it took a lot out of me. It really, really stripped me of a lot of financial freedom that I still don't have today. And it's because I had my siblings basically forced me to live with my mother and father while I was in pharmacy school and as a pharmacist. And it was incredibly, incredibly toxic environment. And I'm here today to tell you, this is the first time I'm actually telling you on YouTube that it wasn't the work, it was always my family that really drove me to rock bottom crazy. And I hit my rock bottom crazy because physiologically I was also going through diabetes, menopause, and all the hormonal changes. And at 50 is when I decided to get married, and maybe not the best decision. And so anyway, I overcame menopause. I think by the age of 52, it all kind of finally stabilized, and I got back in the gym, started working out, and that kind of leveled out everything. So I'm ready for a new chapter in my life. And when women say, they're ready for a new chapter in their life, it means that they've gone through this transition of such an enormous fate where people don't help you all alone. And there's a song that I don't know the singer, but she basically says, these women are fighting these battles all alone. And we put the flag up to you for you women who are outside fighting your battles alone. And I love that song. And every time I hear it, I feel like they're speaking to me, and I've always fought my battles alone. And now, having learned about YouTube, I don't have to fight those battles alone anymore. Celebrate Recovery is one ministry, but they don't help you on a day-to-day basis. They're not coming in to do your laundry or show you how to get married or, telling you how to get off your antidepressant medication, showing you how to apply for jobs. And so, you have to rely on what you know. And so, Indeed, job applications does not work. It is a false sense of belief that Indeed does not help a pharmacist find a job, period. Pharmacy professionals, hospital pharmacy professions do not hire pharmacists off Indeed. That is a 10-year lie. And stop telling me, Susan Falk, stop telling me that Indeed hires hospital pharmacists because they don't. You're a liar, okay? You were my friend, you're no longer my friend. I'm very angry at you, what you did to me. So anyway, I went on Glassdoor instead, and I applied to a couple of hospital jobs. I also went back to Career Builder and Monster, but still no job. And so none of those things really work. You have to go actually to the hospital website directly, because hospitals don't hire Indeed to do their searching. They have their own HR departments. You have to go to the websites. So I got a list of all the hospitals in California, and there's a lot of them. There's like 150 hospitals. So just go down the list, basically. And I highlighted all of them in LA County so that I could just go there and apply for any job right now that doesn't require a license. So that's what I'm going to do. That's a lot to do, I know. And it's 32 minutes. And, I think I've shared enough to tell you that I am fighting my battles by myself. There is no one that's going to walk through that door and say, I will take all your battles for you. Since my mother and my father died, I have had this weight and burden of fighting my own battles. And it's hard as heck. It's hard. It's difficult to handle day-to-day pressures. So congratulations, I guess. I made it through my Pharm.D school finally. I graduated in 2010, December. And I'm not going to be forced out of the workplace anymore. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick it out. And mental health doesn't work. Counseling doesn't work. I lived with a psychologist. I mean, my mother is a psychologist. It didn't work. I'm not married, so it didn't work. You really have to handle these things with God. And I think that's what I picked up yesterday from the STEP study is you have to get these issues in front of God. You sitting quietly with God and saying, this is not working. I need you. And you need to fix this for me because I want to live a married life. And I don't want to live the rest of my life doing tasks like laundry when I can afford as a pharmacist to hire somebody to do that work for me. And so that's where I'm at. It's between that and dating. So Facebook dating, yeah. I have to, you have to put buckets of time into these major aspects of your life when people leave your life and are during their own battles alone. And so what is a good friendship to me? I've had so many friends. I still have a lot of friends. And I guess I've been blessed, with making friends. My problem is, I want them to come into my life and say, I am going to stand here with you for, a certain amount of years, and we're going to fight this together. And I want you married. So I'm going to stay until you're married. And I'm going to stay at least 5 years after you're married. That's what I did for my brothers. I was forced to do that. Nobody is doing that for me. Nobody. I did it for my sister. I did it for all three of my brothers. It's not fair. It's not fair that somebody doesn't stand, for me to be married. So that's my anger today. And it's going to be my anger for the rest of my life, really. And that's all I got. I don't have, Professor Dean Slaughter advising me on how to get married. I mean, that would be great. I don't even know if he's still alive. I'm sure he's still alive, but he's probably like in his 60s or 70s. So, as a pharmacy student, we didn't graduate on how to be married. We used to always say these women had the MRS degrees because they came to college just to get married. Well, I came to college to, number one, get away from my parents. Number two, to memorize a whole bunch of stuff that you have to regurgitate for exams. That's why I went to college, and to get a good degree and get, and make some great money and travel. And so I accomplished all that. I forgot to put in marriage, and the reason I didn't get married is because of my mom and dad were married, obviously, and I lived with them. I was forced to live with them. And I didn't want that, I didn't want to be beaten up every day or yelled at or, my dad was a rager, and so was my mom. They were both ragers. And so, why would I want that? I don't want that. So I really did want it. But it was kind of this turmoil inside. And long story short, I was molested and sexually abused. So my emotions were, my emotions and my brain circuits were wired as a sexual abuse woman. They weren't wired as a non-sexual abuse woman. So the views that I learned and had to adapt and cope with were sexual abuse thoughts and manners. And, I was groomed by my perpetrators. These women that were not sexually abused did not think like me because they weren't sexually abused. And so it's not mental illness. It's a programming. It's a programming that non-sexually abused women don't have in their brain. And I read about it. I mean, there's science and neuroscience about it. It's like an addiction, I guess. It's like, I guess you can, like a sugar addiction. It's the same brain chemicals. Sexual abuse, women and men, I guess, but women in particular, because I'm a woman. Sexual abuse women, their neural circuits work differently. It's like a sugar addiction. So different chemicals are operating because that's what we had to do when we were being abused. And it's not because we wanted to do it. It's not because we were forced, by our perpetrators. And so I've come to understand, after reading 3 books on sexual abuse and the grooming process, what those books miss is the neurochemical changes that happen. So I basically learned all this stuff through watching a psychologist speak to us during my seminars. So I delved deeply into the psychology of the brain and the neural psychology of the brain, because my mom is a psychologist, number one, and number two, that was always my interest. And I worked in a nursing home, and we, anyway, long story short, I could be a psychology pharmacist big time. So I applied for that job at Western University. We'll see if they call me. Anyway, that's my specialty because I wanted to learn about it, because that's what I have to deal with every day. And so I'm telling you, therapy doesn't work. Medications works, but they have their limited uses after a while. So, what was I going to say about all this? Oh, it's like a sugar. It's like a sugar addiction. So, what I've learned from this psychiatrist, and I think they had a psychiatrist talk to us too in our lectures for our CE um, on neurochemistry around addictions. And basically, it operates, sexual abuse women operate the same biochemistry that a sugar addiction would operate. And so some neurochemicals in your brain do get overstimulated over a non over a person who doesn't have that sugar addiction. And so our thoughts are and our coping mechanisms are very different than a person who was not abused. And so it's good to look at sugar addiction because I'm overweight and I'm numbing my feelings and I eat a lot. And so these two thoughts are very are coming together um, as very similar. And so the science behind that, it really stands true. And I wish I could patent that, but I don't know how to patent stuff. So even if I did, would I make money on it? I don't know. I mean, I could write a book. Yeah. Anyway, so this is all happening all in my head right now. And I didn't expect to talk about all that stuff. But anyway, being sexually abused allows you to develop those coping mechanisms that are similar to a sugar addiction coping mechanism. That's why I run to sugar when I'm feeling bad about myself, and so I need to recognize that, which I was aware of yesterday after my step study class. So there you go. That's all. That's all she wrote, as my pharmacist friends used to say. And I do miss my pharmacist friends. I miss them a lot. Oh, and friendships. What is friendship? I'll end with this. What's friendship? Friendship is somebody who's going to actually come in and say they're going to stay for a certain amount of years, and they follow through and actually help you through like some of this trauma stuff, and walk away. You having um, the agreement that you both can walk away healthy, and nobody's really done that for me except the sponsor. So So that's why Celebrate Recovery does have you sign a sponsor agreement, which says you are going to stay for this person throughout the step study, and sign the signature. And yeah, you can back out. It's really hurtful to the person when you sign that agreement and then you step away, because then they're stuck with all that junk. And no therapist really will get you through that stuff. Only a good friend or a family member that cares about you a lot. So who picks up my slack? My family. That's who picks up my slack. So anyway, 43 minutes. I'm out. Yeah, I have had to pull away from people who say they're going to process it with you, but they don't, and they lie to you, and you end up in a hole like I am in right now. So it's hard to get myself out of this hole, but I'm doing my best anyway. Today is still Thursday, and it's still June 10th, and yeah, today's payday for me. So, a low income payday. What am I going to do? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to budget my time. Yeah. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for helping me share. Thank you for YouTube. Thank you for Wendy Williams' show that I got to watch this morning. Thank you for the food that I ate. It wasn't super healthy, but I ate a granola bar, and I think that's all I ate. I was supposed to eat my tuna, but I didn't eat my tuna. Maybe I'll eat it before I leave. And then I'm going to go to the gym to work out. And then I'll come back and maybe apply for jobs or go walk outside, because it's gorgeous outside. And I'm not working, so let's take advantage of that. And I did pray that this housing person does call me and sets up an appointment for tomorrow. But if she doesn't, I'm going to have to be okay with that, because you can't force these people to do work. I mean, people who work for nonprofits, housing, they're just not us. They're not healthcare. They're not people who have sense of urgency, I guess the word is. that we do as healthcare professionals. So anyway, thank you, Mom and Dad, for allowing me to go to pharmacy school and pass my exams. I hope to make you proud one day as a pharmacist that gets to present one day to ASHP. We added med safety as a track for the ASHP meetings. I think that was pretty awesome. I was part of that movement. Um, so I don't know if they still have it or not. I don't think they do anymore, but I don't know. Could be wrong. No, they don't anymore. So, you know, anywho, that's the deal. Stay safe and mask up, get your vaccine, vaccinate, vaccinate against COVID-19. I got my 2 vaccines. And why wouldn't I believe? I mean, I'm a pharmacist. Why wouldn't I believe in the vaccine? I do. I believe in vaccines. Vaccines save lives. And they say the death rates are higher among younger people now because they're not getting their vaccines. And, you know, what do I say to all those people? I don't know. You know, read the book. They're not going to read the books. They're just going to listen to their own head. And I don't know. Watch President Biden give it away, I guess, to other countries, and other countries get to be healthier than America, I guess, because you're so arrogant that you can't take a vaccine to save your life. You know what I mean? And I hate saying that because, you know, I had that said to me, but that's the truth. That's America. Welcome to America. All right, I'm still Iraqi, and I'm still going to follow Jesus. So, signing off. See you later. Bye.